Good morning, Karl Sandoval here. Just thought I'd do a short video on that little stroid that was at the end of this wing here on the Star guitar. This is another video for the Star Guitar Custom Build series. I hope you enjoy it, but before we get on an explanation, let me just remind everybody, if you're new to my channel, welcome. My name is Karl Sandoval. I'm a luthier, and I'm going to show you all sorts of fabrication techniques, repairing techniques, customizing techniques that you can utilize on your own personal guitar. Also, if you are a new viewer and you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so. And when you watch my videos, watch them as long as you can. If you can watch them all the way through, I would really appreciate it. Thank you so much for that. So subscribe to my YouTube channel. Also, subscribe to my Patreon channel. This is a subscription channel, and it's $5 a month, but you'll get more detailed and specific information on how I do my fabrication, how I do my guitar work per se. So, if you feel inclined to do so, subscribe to that. You can also check me out on Instagram, Facebook. I have a website. And if you need to send me a text or ask me a question, send it at karl@karlsandoval.com. Also, for donations and gifts, any type of generosity like that you would like to give to me for my efforts, I would appreciate it. You can do that by sending a small donation to PayPal, karl@karlsandoval.com. karl@karlsandoval.com, and don't forget, my name is spelled with the letter K. With that being said, thank you kindly, and let's proceed. Well, what we have here is a video I'm going to explain how I'm getting this little repair done. If you remember, it was sort of a torn out piece of wood or a knot or something that was it wasn't smooth wood as we see here, so we had to make a little repair. I've had some comments where people think that, hey, well, why is he using such a bad piece of wood? Well, he's a pro, he'll take care of it. Well, obviously, I did it for the reason of having a video presented to you viewers. Short and sweet, but it'll work. So let me just explain this. I'm going to go through it briefly, and we will be done. This is the continuing series of building this custom Sandoval Star guitar. And what I've done here, we have her body that had a little bit of a stroid here at the end of the wing, which we need to repair with the same type of wood. It's another small piece of alder. It's not grain matched. It's just going to be a filler for that particular area that's glued on. It will be very strong, incidentally. So being an opaque color, which we'll probably go with, or even a sunburst, this will all be hidden. Your lamb lines, if I use any kind of filler, to hide any of these lamb lines, okay, it'll come out just fine. If this was a natural guitar, I wouldn't have chose this piece of wood for one. I would have chose something that looks presentable and has a nice sweet grain with it, maybe some quilt, some flame, whatever. Anyway, so what I did was, I have a workbench here, and I used my workbench to actually clamp certain jigs to, and what I did was I made a jig. Here's a piece of plywood that's clamped heavily onto this bench, and I put two set screws here, two wooden screws. I put them into the plywood, and what it does is it holds this piece of wood from sliding in that direction. What was important to me was to get a parallel line here and a parallel line here, basically the same. They're not perfect, but this will allow me to put clamping pressure this way is what I needed to get this joint done. I centered the body into this piece of bulk wood. It all has to be shaped and cut down, which will be another video. But anyway, this plywood is stabilized. This block is stabilized by these two screws from sliding, and I clamped the repaired piece of wood that we need for the body in place using Titebond wood glue. Now, the body, to prevent the body from moving, I also clamped the body to my bench. So you can see how valuable the workbench, it's like a third hand. These clamps are like fourth hands, you know, and they all work together in helping me get the end result done. So that's basically it. I had to cut off, I drew a line and I cut off the bad piece of body there, and then I cut a piece of scrap alder, which is, this is alder by the way, and you know, like I say, no grain match, and I made sure it was big enough to where it'll give me the size and the finished body end that I need here. So that's pretty much it. Now I'll just let this dry for an hour or two. This will be very, very solid. And then I'll be able to trace on our pattern. As you can see, we've got plenty of room here. As I place the pattern onto the body, you can see that we have plenty of room to make this repair. And the end result will look pretty good. You will see that. And but that's pretty much it. There was a lot that I didn't show in this video. For example, cutting off the bad piece. But I mean, bandsaw cutting is pretty straightforward. If you haven't gotten trained on that, received training on that, well, you know, look on your internet. If you do any kind of machine work or any kind of dangerous work with sharp tools, you're doing so at your own risk if you're following along. So please be careful. Get the training you want. If you're just really starting out, beginning, go onto the internet, get some good training, or go to a local wood shop and see if they'll show you some pointers on a Saturday morning. You know, whatever works for you. You may have a relative that has woodworking skills. Let them teach you about safety. One thing that I'll tell you is whenever you're operating a piece of machinery, sometimes sharp blades aren't necessarily the greatest things to use. So whether it's a sharp bit, sharp rasp, sharp saw blade, you know, sometimes I use dull blades because they cut slower and I have a little more control on my cuts that I make. But never put your hands in front of the blades, because if you're pushing forward and your fingers are there and you slip, you're going to go into that blade. Let the blades do the cutting. And wear your eye protection, ear protection, and respiratory protection or respirator type protection, so you don't inhale any of this dust. So when I can remember, I will do that, because it's very important for my safety as well, to keep my health as well. But like I say, if you're using any of these heavy types of machinery, woodworking machinery that have sharp blades, any type of chisels, drills, you're doing so at your own risk if you're following along. So anyway, with that being said, that's it. Short and sweet video. Don't forget, when you watch my videos on YouTube, please watch them all the way through, because there are points of interest that you may miss out on, that you may not hear, that could really help you out. With that being said, thank you so much. God bless. We'll see you next time.